Okay, I'm still waiting for this to dry, but I thought we would go ahead and make the template that we're going to use to mark our signatures for where we're going to sew them. So I measured the width of my spine. So from the dip to the dip is 1.5 inches, and I cut out a piece of cardboard. This is part of a Honey Bunches of Oats box. The little side panel on it was close, so I trimmed it down with my trimmer so that it's just a perfect fit. Okay. Then I cut a piece of paper, because paper is easier to work with, and it's exactly the same size as my cardboard template. So the first thing I'm going to do is fold it. Let's fold it in half this way first. Fold it in half. All right. Alrighty. And then I'm going to fold it in half across the other way, lengthwise. And you want to get this really close. I still got glue all over my fingers. All right, so there's that. Okay, so now there's the center and the center. So that leaves me 3/4 of an inch from the center out. And so I want to leave 1/2 inch in the middle. So I can see the lights getting me. So I'm going to say 1/4 of an inch here. And 1/4 of an inch here, and that will leave me 1/2 inch in the center of my book. So between these two here, there will be 1/2 inch, which looks pretty good. And then that will leave me 3/4 of an inch to the sides. Okay. So 1/2 inch, 1/2 inch. 1/4 of an inch, excuse me. You know what I'm going to do? This fold line and this lighting is just not working for me. That's what happens when you get old. Okay, so now I can see it better. Let me just verify that it's 1/2 inch. It is. And then I'm going to mark down here 1/4 of an inch, excuse me, on each side. Sorry about all those numbers. Making sure that it's right there. So then I'm going to draw a line here. All right. So now the first dot we can make will be right here in the center for both of our signatures. We're going to use a 3-hole pamphlet stitch. It's the most easy, most basic. We don't have any super small pieces in our journal, so everything will get hit. Sometimes if you have a bigger journal, taller, and you have little pieces of paper here and then some down here, they might get missed if you're doing your signatures, but that won't be a problem for us. And then I want to measure down 1 inch from the top, right there, and 1 inch from the top, right there, and 1 inch up from the bottom, right there, and 1 inch up from the bottom, right there. So here is our template. I'm going to write top here, although we were very careful. It should be very symmetrical. So if I do this, they should line up, and they do, but I just wanted to be sure. So that's the top. And now we're going to end up poking the holes in our signatures and in our book, in our book. All right, so I'm going to fold this in half this way. And I'm going to just look, double verify. You can use an awl if you have an awl. I have one, but I really like the push pins better. So that's just perfect. And then I'm going to do the centers right here, like that. So that's where our holes are going to go. Now, we're going to do this one here. We're going to put our template on. I'm going to mark this as the top. I'm going to put this on, and this is how we're going to know where to poke the holes in the back of our book. All right, so right down through the holes. And that's how it's going to look. I think you can see the holes. All right, excellent. Your book's coming great for this. All righty. Being we have time, I am going to do this here. And I'm just going to poke right through. It's important that you get these really lined up just so that you can put your signatures in easy. The other thing is you want your holes to line up because your strings are going to show in the back. All right, so I'm just going to take this and make sure it's gone all the way through. Just want it to be big enough that I can find it later. There we go. So those are done. And this was the top, right? I didn't mark the top in my book. Oh, good thing it's really symmetrical and it lines up. So I'm going to say that this is the top. I'm just going to put a little T right there. So now, there's lots of ways that you can mark your signatures. We're not going to be able to put these in yet because I don't have the papers done yet, but we can go ahead and poke the holes in our signature. So I'm going to fold this exactly down the line. Right there. So this is where the holes are. And then I'm going to only do a couple. Some people do all theirs at one time. And that's really great if you've got really sharp folds. But I tend to mess with mine so much. They get kind of not so sharp folds. So now I need to center this on the page. Okay, I know that hole is right here and that's the fold, so I'm going to put that hole right down. So there's that page with the holes punched in it. Here comes my Edith Holden page. And right in the center, centering this up and down on the page. It's right on the fold. Alright. And this is just a piece of paper. See how the fold had gotten really messed up on that one? I know. Some people are probably going, oh my goodness, one at a time. But I'm just not good at keeping them so strictly folded. And then this is the one that has that big thing in it. And that's the reason we're doing this now. We're still going to do more decorating in our journal. But if we started filling it up with everything now, it would be very heavy and hard to work with. So we're just going to put it together and then fill it up. So I live in Oregon, and we're supposed to maybe get our first snow this Sunday, Monday, somewhere around there. You know you're getting old when you don't look forward to snow. Yeah. My daughter-in-law is a hospice nurse, and she's on call Sunday night, which means she could get called out in the middle of the night, and I just really don't want her having to go out in the snow. Do I sound like an old worrywart grandma yet? So now see, here's one that's a little bit smaller. So we have options. We can do it so that in our book it would end up here, or we can center it here. Let's see where the holes line up. For this page, if I put it right in the center, we're going to have this one barely at the top, in the middle, and barely at the bottom. So I think what I'm going to do is just go slightly up. It will miss the bottom one completely. It's right here. And it will be just slightly above the center, but it will have two holes in it, which is nice. This really isn't very hard at all. I've done several of these journals, sewing them. I love the way it looks. And it just takes a minute to do this. Now, this is a new thing that I put in. It's a piece of vellum with some printed vellum that I cut out and put on. It shows through the back. I just love it. But I think I want it in the middle. So I'm just going to more or less center one hole for this one in the center. Oh, where'd you come from? Okay. I feel so bad for the people in the Midwest that have gotten just that horrible, frigid cold. I don't really know what that's like, but my husband was in the Navy for a long time, and we lived in Connecticut. And our first year there, I had grown up in Oregon, and then we'd spent some time in South Carolina. So that gives you my snow knowledge, not very much. And so anyway, we moved into our house, and there was a drip from the gutter right above the front steps, and it would melt and drip and freeze on the steps, and had this big ice puddle right on the front steps. And I said, oh, I tried beating it off, I tried salting it off, I tried all kinds of things, and I said, oh well, we'll just let it thaw out and then take care of it then, thinking it would just be, a few days. Well, once it starts freezing in Connecticut, it stays frozen all winter. So all winter we had this horrible patch of ice right on our front steps. So, and it was cold. It was really cold there. But the thing about Connecticut that was wonderful, I would sit in the living room, and it had a window, and the sun would shine in through that window and it would make your leg hot. It just such wonderful sunshine. Yeah, we don't have that here. Here it's gray all the time in the winter. We don't have that wonderful burst of snow or burst of sun. All right, and then here's our centerpiece. So now that I have done this entire signature, what I'm going to do is I'm going to do the same thing to the other signature. And as soon as I'm done with that and as soon as the book is dry, we'll go ahead and stitch our signatures up and put them in.